Hi guys, welcome to All Things Alaska Peer, where we talk it up with the movers and shakers for peer support throughout Alaska. I'm your host, Jen, and today's guest is Cheryl Charic with Alaska Behavioral Health. I was blessed to meet Cheryl in 2017 when I lived in Washington and was considering moving to Alaska. And then I'd meet her 10 months later in person where she offered me a job I didn't even apply for.
That was a good day for me.
And she continues to be one of my best supporters in all the work I do. So welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you. As Jen mentioned, my name is Cheryl Charic. I work now in residential programming with Alaska Behavioral Health. This is super exciting because it's really new. The 1115 mental health waiver in Alaska just opened pretty recently. And so we opened our first adult mental health residential treatment program in Alaska in January. And then we opened another one in March. And then we opened another one a week and a half ago. So I'm really busy.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited. And I'm very excited to talk to you all today about how peers could be involved. So that's my job. I just told you about my job, but I really do love peers in mental health. Truth be told, I almost consider myself a peer. Right after I went to graduate school and became a counselor in psychology, I had a baby and I had a pretty notable case of postpartum depression. It was pretty serious. And unfortunately, I did not get the help that I needed as much and as early as I really should have. Ironic, because I'm a counselor, so you would have thought I would have maybe clued in, right? But you know, it doesn't always work that way. Since then, I've had the opportunity to learn how to use all of those skills that I learned in graduate school myself for real. And that's been one of the coolest opportunities of my life. And it daily inspires me to work with all of my clients in a completely different way than I think others do. And I love peers because that's what peers do, right? So my ultimate vision is to be able to have peers in every piece of our social services workforce in Alaska at every stage, every client. I want every client to have access to a peer.
Yeah. And so with the 3 places you just opened that the agency has partnered with other entities to do, what kind of services do they offer and how do they support that peer movement?
Yeah, so each facility is a little bit different. One of them is for males only. Each has a slightly different clientele, different population that we're serving. In one of the facilities, the clients actually do all of their own cooking, all of their own cleaning, they do their own laundry. They're like getting ready to move out on their own, right? And that's the other one is a little bit more staff led. So each facility has its own individual personality. But I actually want to have peers at each of these facilities, just coming alongside the clients and offering opportunities to build skill and to build relationship at every level. In one of our facilities, that literally might just look like doing puzzles and coloring with clients. And I think that's really important, by the way. And what a fun job. That's the most fun part of my job is when I get to sit down and do a puzzle and color with clients. I love that. So that's totally an option for you. If you are a colorer, man, here's your time.
Yeah.
At some of the other facilities, it really could look like cooking a meal with a client, which would also be super fun. Or it could be just learning any kind of routine, basic life thing that you're going to do. Our clients would benefit from someone coming alongside them and helping them learn or relearn how to do that. This is something that we don't really look at in mental health as often, because usually we're dealing with crisis, and there's a lot of crisis in mental health. But the cool thing about residential treatment is that you get to slow down. You have supports to hold the crisis in a way that makes it safe for everybody. You have support, you have other staff members, you have structure, you have routine. And so we really get to help clients learn those daily routines to help solidify wellness in their life. And this is just illness management and recovery lived out, right? Illness management and recovery is just basically this idea that wherever we can reduce stress, symptoms reduce as well. And the best way to reduce stress is to learn a solid routine that helps your life. Because I don't know about y'all. I lived in Texas for a little bit, by the way.
Okay.
I don't know about you all, but when my sleep gets off, I'm kind of a zombie. And man, if I miss a meal, don't even talk to me. Just run away, like throw food at me and then run the other direction. That's what you should do. And I miss medications, that's a bad sign too. So it's really just about helping our clients learn to get regular sleep at the same time every day, maybe even, and regular meals and medications. And if we've got routines for getting our clothing clean and having healthy recreation. What have we learned this year about COVID and how much we need healthy recreation? We need all of those things. And some of my clients with severe mental illness, they really do need someone to come alongside for every step of the way to learn or relearn those things.
I love that. So how is this different from API?
Oh, well, our doors are not locked. That's the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing is that we're completely voluntary. So people really can leave. And they really do need to choose to come.
Yeah.
But my goal is to actually avoid API. My ultimate dream, and this hasn't happened yet, although it's only been a few months, there's still time. My ultimate goal is as people are starting to have more symptoms of their mental health, mental illness, as people around them are starting to say, oh, this is not going well, this is not going well, red flags are coming up, orange flags are coming up, sirens are coming out. I would like to be able to take a person at that time into one of our facilities, have them stay for a few weeks or a few months and really cut off the bottom of that downhill and then level it off and really spend some solid time maintaining wellness before the person would go back to their original home.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Sometimes you only stay in API for 3 days. And that's not enough time to bring you back to wellness.
No, not at all.
It's a vital service. API provides a vital service.
I don't argue that at all.
But we've been missing this hole in our continuum of care for a long time in Alaska.
For sure. I love that. And so what are some of the big takeaways? Like, this has been on the books and in the works for a while. And this took a lot of great partnerships and process, even with COVID happening.
Yes.
And which made it even more entertaining.
Yes.
So what kind of ways can people contribute to this?
We actually did have a volunteer call our HR department and say that they would just actually like to do an art class once a week. And that would be amazing. If we had a volunteer at a program who just wanted to come do an art class once a week, it would be great. So that's totally an option. Just volunteering time is absolutely an option. And my favorite way. I mean, if people wanted to donate items, that would also be okay. We're looking for any and all healthy recreation activity known to man. But I think time is the most important.
Yeah, time is for sure one of those things that I truly believe benefited a lot of us in our recovery journeys.
Absolutely.
Time and empathy and authentic compassion from the people we were working with to get through it.
Yep. So I would love to have people with lived experience with mental health struggles to be alongside our clients. Our clients also listen to peers in a different way. Your clinician can say all kinds of big words that sound like they're from a dictionary or a really big book, and wow, that's so impressive. But clients listen a whole lot more when someone says, hey, I've been there.
I feel that. So your role in this whole movement of peer support, like this has gone back way before me. Like
Yeah,
you've had your hands in this pot for a while.
I think so. I think until I met you, I wouldn't have like defined it in that way. Before I met you, I would have just said more like, we just need to have people who've lived life with our clients. That's what I would have said.
Yep.
And I know as an agency, we've been trying to have people who've lived mental health struggles work and exist alongside our clients for a long time. And there have been some great moments and there have been some tragic moments too, I have to say. But you know, life is like that also.
Yep.
In life, there are high, great moments, and then there are also like times that you never saw coming.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about self-care, which sounds so pithy because we say that all the time, but it's true.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about self-care. I've learned a lot about boundaries. I've learned a lot about what I can do and what I can't do.
Yeah.
As a supervisor and as a peer and as a mental health worker.
Yeah. That is truly part of the road of bringing nuances into established professions and really trying to bring things together. Like that's a big part of it. We have all those bumps in the road. We have the hiccups that make us really question what we came up against. Like, why did we do this?
Yeah.
But I think that's also part of the learning curve. The growth of AKBH has been longstanding, and they've had their hits and misses over time, and that just makes them a viable agency that can work through those things.
Yeah.
And really stand a firm foundation.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited that the peer movement is becoming officially certified in the state of Alaska, and that people are becoming officially certified as peers, and that there's training that's being created and has started over the last year. That's a really big deal. And that was a really big hole in from our previous attempts. It's already made such a big difference for the peers that I've seen in the workforce.
Yeah. And like we are one of, I think we've got 5 that are training right now. And we already have almost 300 of them under our belt that have trained with us, which is just like, okay, now we need to get that job title out there and get people actually employed doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was actually thinking that as I was getting ready to talk to you today. It's like, I have some mental health associate positions posted for the residential programs right now, but I don't actually have a peer position posted. I really need to do that. I really need to catch up here.
Well, I was going to say, and part of the dialogue I'm having in the trainings is about knowing what a title can be acclimated to be a peer. So I've encouraged people, if they look at our website and they only see the MHAs, apply for it.
Yep.
Apply for it. You're going to be surprised at the type of skills that you will bring to the table under any title. And they can easily shift that title to be a peer associate. It doesn't have to be the MHA, but apply.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I'm so excited for where this has evolved to and where it continues to grow. Like, it's really pretty cool to be able to tell people that the state of Alaska thinks that they should be doing this training and not be paying for it out of their pockets.
Yeah.
And that they see that as a burden for people not to be able to follow through.
Yep.
Like, that is huge.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, the state is really putting their money where their mouth is on this one right now, which is very exciting.
I have to say, I haven't seen a lot of states do that. Like, there's a lot of talk and there's very little walking through those doors and actually seeing a finished product. So this has been pretty cool. Like, just being part of that movement up here after I got here.
Yep. I've had some really great conversations with people who've worked in other states, who've worked with peers in their teams and for a longer period of time. And it's just so exciting to talk to other people because they'll say, well, I had a peer do this, and I had a peer do this, and I had a peer do this. And then I'll say, and then when this confusing thing, when this challenge happened, what'd you do? And they're like, oh, we have a plan. We have an answer for this. This is what we did last time. Because I think 5 or so years ago, I kind of felt like we were spinning our wheels a little bit more. Whereas now I feel like our wheels are spinning and we're actually going somewhere, like we're really moving.
I think what I've heard in the feedback from our teams, at least, is that there seems to be more succinct policies that are inclusive and very clear, and that we have, I wouldn't so much call it a chain of command, but we know who our contact points are.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that with a peer team, you really lose that footing really fast, because
Absolutely.
there's so much inconsistency. And so that really is something to be proud of, is that we've, as a leadership team and as an agency and as a community, have all really built those levels of insight to support the growth of the job.
Yep. Yeah, it is. You're right, because now I'm seeing peers working on different teams throughout our agency, but I'm also just aware of peers working at other agencies as well.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased to hear that they're having similar experiences and similar boundaries and guidelines. And I don't think that was the case 5 or 10 years ago. I think there was a very wide variance of experience 5 to 10 years ago.
For sure. So what would you tell everyone here about where this has gone in your time in the field?
Oh, I mean, since I've been at AKBH for not quite 10 years, or I'm a little bit shy of that mark. I mean, when I first started at this agency, we did have peers, but we didn't call them peers. We did not give them training as peers. We put people who were peers into our standard jobs. And I think we were well-intentioned at the time.
Yeah,
we were really trying to be inclusive. But when you don't have the training and the boundaries and the clear expectations and the guidelines for the peer, as well as the supervisors and the coworkers and the whole team, it just didn't work as well.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate, but I have to say, I was the initial group down in Washington State 13 years ago. So I was the guinea pig trainee, and now I'm helping implement that group of people. I have to say that there was a lot more smoothness that I saw in this transition up here than I ever saw in Washington.
Well, that's good news.
And they may say that Alaska's a little bit slower getting things running, but Alaska also puts a lot of time and attention to detail. And making sure that we aren't leaving people behind. And I've seen that through the state level, through the committees I've served on since I've been up here, through just the process of instilling this here at AKBH.
Nice. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I think we're also willing to go all in on things sometimes.
I think that just gives an extra bonus point to us, though, is the ability to just, we'll throw it in now, and if we have to reel it in a little bit, we will.
Right.
Because that's how, trial and error is the best complement, right?
Absolutely.
Making sure that you at least put in the effort and you took the chance to change that many more lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I talk to people who've worked in the lower 48 and I'll be a little bit jealous. I'll be, man, I wish we had that in Alaska. Oh, I wish we had that in Alaska too. But the thing that I like about where I am now is that I have the chance to start creating those things that other states have tried, and kind of like we get to pick the best stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We get to pick the ones that already have the evidence-based practice behind the name.
Right. So a little bit less clear, just making it up as we go, and that's good too. I like
exactly. Anything you would go out of your way to encourage people to do with the residential program, utilizing it, encouraging family members to access it?
I think that there's so much in mental health and recovery that really is that I've said this, I feel like I'm repeating myself,
That's okay.
but I feel like this is a different new chance to really slow down and catch all the details of life that can add up to stress and chaos, or that can add up to manageable routine and predictability.
Yeah.
And really, that predictability is what leads to safety. So I'm excited to be able to work with people on the fine details of their life to create safety.
I love that. So if we were to look at a checklist and
Mm-hmm.
say, this is what has to happen in order for someone to come there. Obviously, I'm in crisis, maybe not actively in crisis, but definitely teetering on those fall points.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not necessarily in Anchorage.
Sure.
How do we connect these people? Is this an ER visit? Is this a primary care? Is this calling the main hotline that we have for intakes?
You know, I mean, you could do all those things. Literally, you could just call AKBH and
Okay.
ask to talk to me. And if the person were in Anchorage, we would offer an in-person tour of one of the facilities, the one that
Right.
we think you would match best with. If you're not in Anchorage, you know, I'm willing to like take out a Zoom laptop and just kind of like lead you around the building too. I'm not above that. The cool thing about COVID is that we've really learned how to use telehealth.
Yes, we have. It
So
definitely brought some better points to us to
absolutely.
search everyone
So
here.
yeah, so I would meet with you by telehealth, or one of my clinicians would meet with the person by telehealth. Once we've explained the house rules, the guidelines, the structure, the routine for the day, if you like it, if you feel like this is a good fit, then we would do an actual clinical interview, a clinical assessment, learn more about you. We would need you to see probably a primary care person. We need medical screening because this is a residential program. We need to make sure that people don't have major contagious diseases while coming into the program. So we'll screen for COVID and for hepatitis and tuberculosis before coming into the program. And then we'll schedule a move-in from there.
Okay. So it could take a little time, but it definitely isn't going to, you know, this is one of those things you aren't in immediate crisis and need to be at least baselined or close to a couple stages down. This is, I am working my way up there and I know my limits and I want to be proactive this time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you need a place now, the ER, Providence Psych ER here in Anchorage, or API, those are better directions for immediate care. It is true that we have, even at our fastest pace, it would take us a few days to do an admit.
Justly so. I don't expect it to be any less. I've worked residentials before, both up here and down in Washington, and I know they take time. And that's why I kind of want to talk about it and educate our community so they can effectively use the right resources for their family and themselves.
You know what residential treatment is not? It is not a homeless shelter.
No.
Homeless shelters are very important, by the way, but that's not what we are. We are literally a treatment center, and we are for people who are choosing to take a very proactive stance for a period of time, a few weeks or a few months, or maybe even longer, to really get their mental health in check, to really figure out how to live with it in the most effective way possible.
So what I'm hearing you say, Cheryl, is that this is a place for people who are ready to make concrete plans for a manageable recovery.
Right. That's right. It's not about housing. It's not about a facility. It's about a 24/7 commitment to work on your mental health and to get to a better stage of wellness.
I love that.
I cannot
thank you enough for all that you have done in the time I've been up here and before, and what you continue to do for our communities. You are a very strong contributor to the people we serve.
You are as well.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. I love chatting with you. I could do it all day.
Same here, but alas, we have to go.
We're supposed to have lives outside of work. You have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.